Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about something that we have all been waiting for, and that is the change of Rahu and Ketu from the signs of Taurus, Scorpio into the signs of Aries and Libra. So before I get going with this, I want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter where you can have my predictions delivered to your email address every week. So go to galacticcenter.org and remember while you're there to check out my beautiful spiritual jewelry. I have malas and beautiful things that remind us of our spiritual journey. So with that, let me explain what Rahu and Ketu are. You hear me talk about it all the time. They're not even planets. They're arbitrary points in space, but these points are what cause the eclipses. And eclipses, I always say, are the most significant, powerful thing that predict the future. And the ancients all knew when the eclipses were about to occur because they had these points in space figured out. So what is it? It is the point in space where the moon going upward hits the path of the sun called the ecliptic. So as we are geocentric on planet Earth, there's a path of the sun that it follows, creates the seasons, but of course, we are really going around the sun, but it appears the sun is going around us. And where that path is, where the moon intersects it going upward, is Rahu. But where the moon hits it exactly opposite, 180 degrees, and this is why the nodal axes is those points are always exactly opposite. But where the moon hits it going downward is the south node of the moon. In Vedic astrology, we call it Ketu. So Rahu is the north node and Ketu is the south node. And you see what they tie up are the sun, the moon, and the earth. The most significant and important things here on planet Earth. They do dictate our lives here. The moon, as we say, creates the tides. The sun gives us life. And the earth, when they all line up, the sun, the moon, and the earth, is when we have the eclipses. So one thing I want to point out, if you're interested in learning more about these determinants of our karmic destiny, because that is what they do. They are that important. In a chart, your Rahu and Ketu will tell you about your karmas as a soul and your future, what you're here to accomplish on planet Earth. That is huge. That's why we even want to look at astrology. But here is my book on Rahu and Ketu. It's called Rahu and Ketu, Our Karmic Destiny Through Eclipses. You can find this book on Amazon, but simply if you go to my website, and you click on that book, it'll take you there to purchase it. So just go to Galactic Center and check out all of my books. So continuing on, I want to talk about this change. Now, when will the nodes change? Now, Rahu is about to go into Aries, and Ketu is about to go into Libra on March 16th. And as I've been telling everyone, at that point in time, that big shift of energy is going to be where we're going to look at the world differently. Therefore, everything to do with the crises of this coronavirus will be on its way out. It will not control our lives anymore. We will have learned how to live with this. And if you recall, when Rahu and Ketu were in Gemini and Sagittarius is when I predicted this entire world transformational change would occur. I said specifically before Rahu and Ketu went into the signs of Gemini, Rahu and Gemini and Ketu and Sagittarius, that we would have a change that would change the world forever. It is always something catastrophic. And it takes the nodes 18 and a half years to go through all 12 of the signs. They stay in a sign for 18 months, a year and a half. So if you consider all 12 signs staying in a sign a year and a half, it will equate to 18 and a half years. Now, every 18 and a half years, we have a change in our lives. So if you consider the fact that when you're 18 and a half, what happens? You leave home, your whole life changes dramatically. Even at the age 36, 37, and so on. That's when the nodes will go through all 12 signs and return to where they were when you were born. It will happen for everybody at the same age. But as I always took note of, when Rahu and Ketu would go into these signs of Gemini and Sag, they always caused something catastrophic. Every 18 and a half years, this was the coronavirus. The last was September 11th. Prior to that was the AIDS virus. Prior to that was the assassination of Kennedy. Prior to that was the bombing of Hiroshima. So you see, certain signs are detrimental or cause extreme events. So let's talk about what events we have to look forward to when we have Rahu in Aries and Ketu in Libra. Those are pretty intense signs for the nodes to go into, because they are what we call cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are signs of action. Both Aries is a sign of things happening quickly, impulsively. That is a sign of pioneers and new beginnings. And at this point in time, we have Uranus there. And Uranus is the planet of sudden, unexpected events, and actually does rule earthquakes, which are sudden and unexpected. Also, Uranus is the planet of invention, of new things coming, awareness, breakthroughs. And that's what we're going to see when Rahu goes into Aries. All of these changes, things are going to start happening rapidly, quicker than you think. As a matter of fact, it was 2007 when Rahu was in Aries before. And that particular year was when the iPhone came out. So you see, it is a time that we have inventions. So inventions are going to take hold of the world. And let me just say that Rahu will be in Aries and Ketu will be in Libra between March 16th and November of 2023. Actually, this will take place towards the end of November 27th, actually, of 2023. So you see, they're going to be there for 18 months in these signs to come. So during these 18 months, you're going to see massive inventions and forward movement in thinking and creation of things to come, new things. Space travel, space awareness, and even, yes, I believe, our awareness of what is out in space in terms of aliens. This will be where proof will be coming about, because Uranus also rules airplanes and anything futuristic. Aries, Uranus, Rahu being there, they will actually all converge together. Rahu, Uranus, and Mars. August 1st of 2022. Watch if there's not going to be an explosive event around that time. I can personally guarantee you things are going to change. There's going to be major unexpected events. So, going back, I want to talk a little bit about, well, another thing that is notable when Rahu comes together with Mars and Uranus, there'll be more earthquakes. And actually in 2007 was one of the most deadly earthquakes in Chile that we had on record. And it was an 8.0, but there's a repetition of many earthquakes during this time. You'll see many earth changes. And yes, we will have many winds and weather changes, especially since at the same time Jupiter will be in Pisces. and Neptune will be in Pisces. This represents extremes with weather and floods and earth changes. So usually if you put together earth changes and floods, you have tsunamis. So let's talk a little bit about Ketu being in the sign of Libra. So Libra's symbol is the scales. And Libra's symbol with the scales deals so much with justice. And even the stars that are relative to the sign of Libra represents the symbol for justice. Actually, it's the stars that are part of the scales. And we need some justice to come about during this time. So you're going to see a lot more justice, fairness, people in government that change their ways to finding more ways to keep people safe. That deals with justice, and that's what's about to come. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the nakshatras now. We know that Ketu being in Libra will bring the justice that we're looking for and peace. Remember, Libra rules peace and peace treaties. And this will be on the focus. This is what we need, because what's going to happen probably with that Uranus, Mars, Rahu, that happens around July 31st through the first week of August. Wow. That aspect is huge. And it does represent a spiritual revelation, transformation, but because of some very extreme event, we're going to have to find peace. So there's going to be a quest and a need, and people will be working towards finding more peace, because this is the scales. So let's talk a little bit more in detail. Where are the nakshatras going to be that these planets, or we call it planets, but the nodes are really the nodes. Let's just call it Rahu and Ketu. We treat them as planets in Vedic astrology. So looking at this, and remember, this means the eclipses are going to start happening where? In Aries and in Libra, because wherever the nodes are where the eclipses occur. Because what is an eclipse? It's where the sun and the moon, a solar eclipse, a sun and moon conjunct with either Rahu or Ketu. And then a lunar eclipse is simply the full moon when they come together, both with Rahu or Ketu. But the solar eclipse, they happen twice a year when the sun and the moon come together with Rahu and Ketu. So this is a powerhouse time. So because we know the nodes are in Libra and Aries, they will be when the sun is in Libra and Aries, somewhere around April and somewhere around November, because that's the Libra Aries time frame. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the nakshatras. Now, remember when the nodes travel backwards. So when they hit the sign of Aries and Libra, they come in at 29 degrees, the end of the sign, not the beginning. So it starts at 29, 28, 27, and when they change, they're at 0 degrees on into the next sign at 29 degrees. So what do we have when we have Ketu going into Libra? Well, the nakshatra that is there is called Vishaka, because Vishaka extends from 3 degrees, 20 minutes of Scorpio into 20 degrees of Libra. And so at 29 degrees, it's going to enter into Vishaka from all the way till it hits 20 degrees of Libra. Then it will shift out into the next nakshatra. And it will be there, most importantly, when it shifts in, it will be there in this nakshatra till September 23rd. So Ketu will be in Vishaka till September 23rd of 2022, when it will shift into Swati. And Ketu being in Swati will definitely be much more intense. Why? Because Swati is ruled by Rahu. But while it's in Vishaka, Vishaka is ruled by Jupiter. So between March 16th till September 23rd, this is a powerful time because it's ruled by Jupiter. Vishaka's symbol is a triumphal arch, which means success, which means determination, which means persistence. This nakshatra gets what it wants because it doesn't mind doing whatever it takes to get to the top. It is goal-oriented, purpose-oriented, and its symbol is, of course, the triumphal arch, but it is called the star of purpose. Why? Because it is determined to and persistent to achieve success. That's why its symbol is the archway. And it is actually depicted as a warrior because they are strong. And I'd like to think of them more as the spiritual warrior. But sometimes when someone is not of the higher energy, it may be of the lower force. And when they are so determined to get what they want, sometimes they can be revengeful and very unforgiving. So people will have this extreme purpose, goal-oriented focus with Ketu being there. Ketu can make things extreme and over the top. But remember this, Ketu is the indicator, as we call Karaka, for loss, for endings and loss. And I do find when Ketu crosses over the planet, there's a loss associated with that planet is all about. But that loss usually leads to a spiritual revelation, and that is what Ketu's about. It's called the Moksha Karaka. Karaka means indicator of, moksha means spirituality. Now, let's go to where we want to talk about where Rahu is going to shift into Aries. It'll enter, of course, at 29 degrees of Aries, and there sits the nakshatra called Kritika. Kritika symbol is a knife. It cuts to the chase. It cuts to the point. It is another strong and powerful nakshatra. It's actually ruled by the sun. And it will be there. It will be in Kritika for longer because Kritika and Vishaka have different portions of the zodiac. They're 13 degrees, 20 minutes. But it will stay in Kritika till February 4th of 2023. Excuse me, no, that's where it's going to go into Ashwini, February 4th of 2023. But between that, more importantly, first March 16th till July 12th of 2022, Ketu's going to be in Kritika. But July 12th, Ketu's going to shift into Bharani. And Bharani's symbol is the uterus. As they say, the Joni, the uterus that holds the baby. And what its symbology is the birthing process. They say what you grow out of, you have to go to an extreme to break out and find your freedom. That's the whole symbology behind the nakshatra Bharani. And when Mars aligns with Rahu and Uranus, that will be where they will be in Bharani. And Uranus is already in Bharani. So what does that mean? Major breakthroughs, incredible understandings. And most of all, it means there's going to be a shift. Now, Bharani is ruled by Venus, and Venus seems soft, but there is nothing soft about this nakshatra. Its ruling deity is actually Yama, which is the god of death. So it's talking about major transformation with birth and death. This is huge, a hugely transformational nakshatra in the sign of Aries. But before it goes into Bharani on July 12th, it will be still in the Nakshatra Kritika, which is sharp and cutting and gets to the point. And its symbol is the weapon. So this could be depicting the threat of war while Rahu is transiting in Aries. Remember, Aries is the sign of the warrior. It's a sign that is ruled by Mars. If you consider this, Aries is ruled by Mars and Libra is ruled by Venus. And what's interesting is Venus and Mars will be together when we shift in, and I mean really together, traveling together conjunct exactly in the month of March and part of April. So during this time, when they shift, there's going to be a whole new attitude towards war and peace. And things are going to start breaking down. Things are going to change. Do you think we're going to be worrying about the coronavirus when we have the threat of something this serious? A lot is about to give in this year, and people are going to wake up because of all of this threatening insecurity. That's what I think it's going to bring, this rage of insecurity, and that people are looking for freedom, but at the same time, they're looking to be protected in security, and it's not there. So people are going to start fighting back. These nakshatras in Aries, it's extreme. And Libra, trying to find balance and peace and justice. And you know what I believe? We're going to get there in this 18-month period, because by the time of November of 2023, we will be transformed into something entirely different. Entirely different. So during this, I just wanted to give you a little update on what's to come with Rahu and Ketu as they shift into Aries and Libra. It is going to be a huge change of energy, direction, purpose, feeling. The whole feeling of the planet will change. You will see. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me and you would like a reading or to sign up for my university, go to my website, galacticcenter.org. And remember, if you want to study with me, I have a university that is incredible. I'm very proud of the University of Vedic Astrology. Check it out. University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.